God exalts the humble and he humbles the proud. And so let me say this to you this morning, especially if you're here and you're young. If you're not humble, you're not ready to be a leader. Great leaders steward success with humility. Now look at the same chapter 41. And let's look at verse 37 and following. This part is really fun. So remember, Joseph's been in the pit, right? Joseph has been in the prison 13 grueling, long, hard years. And it's about to happen. Like here, this is the moment when he ascends to power, when he goes to the palace, right? So let's look at verse 37 here. This idea, this proposal pleased Pharaoh and his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this in whom the Spirit of God is?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, so here's his moment. "Joseph, since God has shown you all this, and there is no one so discerning and wise as you are, you will be over my house, and my people will order themselves as you command. Only as regards to the throne will I be greater than you." So he's number 2 in all of the land. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." And so here's the moment that Joseph ascends to power. He's gone from the pit to the prison and now the palace. It was a long, hard road, but God was at work and he didn't waste the pain. And now Joseph gets there. Now here's where it gets fun. Check this out, starting in verse 42. Listen to this description about kind of the fanfare of Joseph coming into power. Verse 42, "Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he clothed him in garments of fine linen. And he put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot. And they called out before him, 'Bow the knee.' And thus they set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, 'I am Pharaoh, and without your consent, no one shall lift up hand or foot in all of the land of Egypt.' And then in verse 45, on top of all that, they give him a pretty girl to be his wife as well. And so check this out. So he's gone from the pit to the prison to the palace. I love this. Get this picture in your mind. And so now Joseph is a leader. He's second in command of all of Egypt. And they get this big old fat ring and they put it on his finger and they give him some, I'm imagining he's wearing like a fine designer, custom tailor-made suit, you know. They put a gold chain around his neck. He's blinging like a rapper about to hit the red carpet at the Emmys, you know what I'm saying? Like Joseph is the man. And they're like, yeah, you can have the girl too. You know, and so it's like, he's got it all, man. He's got the power, the prestige, the success. He's got the clothes, he's got the car. They give him his own driver, you know what I'm saying? Like he's got a chauffeur. He's going around. And not only that, but when his car comes down the road, they basically stand on the sidewalk and they holler, "He's the man right there. He's the man." You know, that's what they're saying. So Joseph has made it, right? He's at the top of the game. But listen, you remember when Joseph was young. Think back to the beginning of the story we talked about a few weeks ago. When Joseph was young and he was his father's favorite, you remember that coat of many colors that he had, right? That signified that favoritism and that blessing. And you remember he had some dreams when he was just a youth. And the dream went something like this, that his mother and his father would bow down to him and all of his brothers would have to bow down and serve him. And you remember when he was young, he kind of carried that dream with a little bit of pride and arrogance. Do you remember that? In fact, his brothers hated him for it. I'm sure his brothers, despised this kind of smugness, this kind of pride where he was like, "Look, I'm going to be the man, and I know it, and I need you to know it, and I want everybody to know that I'm all that." And so in his youth, Joseph walked with pride, but now after he's been through the pit, don't miss this, after he's been through the prison, 13 long years in the school of hard knocks, and now he's got it all. He's got the clothes, he's got the ring, he's got the car, he's got the job. Where is his pride now? It's gone. You read the rest of the story, you don't get a hint of arrogance. You don't get a hint of smugness and pride. What has happened to Joseph? God has used the pit and the prison to produce humility in his life, right? So great leaders steward success with humility. In fact, if you glance over at verses 50, 51 and 52, he has a couple sons, and when he names his sons, he gives them names that basically means God gets all the glory, right? So you see where his heart is. You see now that he's gone from pride to humility. And here's what I need to say to you this morning. Joseph's journey with pain and hardship has formed now humility in his heart that he would need to be present when he rose to power. Why? Because the Bible says God exalts the humble and he humbles the proud. And so let me say this to you this morning, especially if you're here and you're young. If you're not humble, you're not ready to be a leader. Just let that sit in a minute. If you're like Joseph in his youth and like, I'm smart and I'm gifted and I'm the man and I know it and everybody else ought to know it too, you're not ready. You're not ready. And I hate to tell it to you this way, but here's what's going to happen. The Lord's going to take you on a very, very long, hard journey to produce humility in your heart and your life, because humility has got to be there before you can be successful as a leader. And so my encouragement to you is this, is that when you are in the pit in life and when you are in the prison in life, one of the things that God is at work doing is he's making you humble enough so that he can exalt you to leadership. And so never despise the circumstances in your life that God put there to destroy pride and produce humbleness, because that's God's doing.